everybody, welcome to a special episode of Fans and Jerseys. Recently, Bruce Arena released his 24-man roster. We're going to tell you what we think.
So let's talk about some of our favorite things on this roster. Mine has to be the fact that we got a couple guys back and they're healthy. Number one, we got Dempsey. He's back, he's healthy, he's on the roster, he's there to make an impact. That's great. The other one, Tim Howard. We weren't really sure whether he was going to be able to make it back for this lineup, and it looks like he has. He's probably got the starting spot locked down.
Both of those guys have been playing great. They're both on the up, I think, right now, which for these games is awesome. They're at their best.
Yeah, definitely. We need those guys to be at their top level if we want to advance, because these are must-wins right now.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite?
I like the Kellen Acosta pick. Right now he is playing insanely good, and I just hope it carries through to the USMNT national team right now.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of funny. The roster was announced, and a couple hours later he's hitting that free kick in for upper 9 goal. That was pretty special.
Yeah, he definitely isn't an outside back right now. He is a midfielder, and he's playing like it.
Yeah, it's about time that we've seen him in the men's national team lineup playing where he should be playing. Yeah. Unfortunately, maybe we could have used him at back. We're thin at the backs again with 2 injuries, Lehigh and Yedlin, and that's going to be rough for us.
Yeah, we were already pretty thin at right back. Now the Yedlin injury, it's a little bit of a panic, I think.
Yeah, and we were thinking Eric Lehigh was going to be there, and he gets injured as well. So I guess we'll lead into our least favorites with that. We've got Michael Orozco, and it looks like he could be starting for at least one of these games.
Yeah, I think that was the plan for Bruce Arenas. He's going to bring in Orozco, someone who's been around for a while. Not a fan favorite, not a favorite of ours, but he's probably the most likely right back on this roster.
Yeah, I've been kicking around a couple ideas, and mostly they wind up with Fabian Johnson over there at right back, which he played there for the last World Cup cycle. Not his best position, but he probably would be the best right back that we could put out there.
Yeah. The only other option I think over there would be Cameron, but doing that breaks up Cameron and Brooks, so you take the good with the bad there.
Right, I know you and I both agree. We don't want to break up that pair. They've been special over the last year. Finally, a center back pairing that we can rely on.
Yeah.
And they're going to save us some goals. They're better than the pairing that we had previous to them of Beasler and Gonzalez. Nothing against those guys. They did pretty well, but Cameron and Brooks are something to watch.
Yeah, these guys are world class, definitely. And to have both of them at center back consistently is important.
Absolutely.
So my least favorite pick for this lineup was the third goalkeeper. I thought he would have brought in Horvath just to get him more minutes, because I don't think he's playing at the moment. Maybe just get him involved with these guys I thought would have been a good idea, but obviously Bruce Arena has other thoughts.
Yeah, it's a little surprising that he didn't bring in any young goalkeeper for these 2 games. He brought in 3 veterans, something that Klinsmann liked to do. Honestly, this 24-man roster looks a lot like what Klinsmann would have put out there. It's not something that we should be excited about, I don't think. We'll have to see what he does with it, but it is very Klinsmann-like. You see a couple Klinsmann guys there. Orozco, you've got Jermaine Jones. A couple of these guys were core staples in a Klinsmann roster, and they're still there, despite the fact that maybe there's a couple other guys that we could have brought in.
Yeah. It's a head scratcher in some spots, and I mean I like some of the picks in others, but it's curious.
Yeah, it would have been nice to see Graham Zusi get at least a couple minutes at right back. I would argue that he was at least equal to Michael Orozco. I know Orozco has been playing pretty well down south, but he's never done anything that has made me want him to play more for the men's national team. I know a lot of fans agree with that. Just his style of play, and he plays down when we're in these important games. That's not good for us.
It's in certain occasions it looks like he doesn't care, which for a national team game is like 75% of what you need. You need to care about the game, and he just doesn't look like that sometimes.
Yeah, in 96 and 2000, we had a bunch of try-hard guys. They were never the best team on the field, but they won a bunch of games just because they really wanted it.
Yeah.
We need to get a core group of guys that just want to go out there and give their 100% every single time. Orozco seems to be lazy at times, which is also one of our knocks on Jermaine Jones, is that he's lazy getting back. Maybe Arena can light a fire underneath these guys. I would sure hope so, but that's not my expectation.
Yeah. The other questionable thing is where are Sasha Glushin and Benny Feldhuber? I mean, he brought him into January camp, but now he doesn't bring him in when it counts. I mean, that I thought was very curious, unless he's trying to get Nagby and Bedoya in there, but I don't see why.
Yeah, I have three thoughts on that, actually. Christian Pulisic has been playing in the center occasionally for Borussia Dortmund, so he could be thinking of starting him there. He must have really liked what he saw from Darlington Nagby, and I don't think he played Bedoya in the middle, but he must like him there.
Yeah.
I know Bedoya played in the center when he was playing in France, so potentially could be a move that would be permanent for him to play in the number 10 spot.
Yeah, watching Pulisic play with Dortmund, though, he seems to have a knack of finding space coming off the wing. So I don't know if Bruce playing him in the middle is the best option. I mean, he will eventually end up in the middle, playing both wings and coming in and just his movement around the field. But it's curious.
Yeah, the other thing I was thinking is that potentially he sees Dempsey as a starter. Dempsey likes to kind of drop back, which could allow Pulisic to move out wide. Obviously, Darlington Nagby can also move in and they can switch depending on how things are going. So a little versatility never killed anyone.
Yeah. So Matt, who are you projecting for your starting lineup?
So let's start at goalkeeper. I've got Tim Howard starting there. That should be obvious to everyone. He's had a great couple of games starting off in the MLS. He's back to being healthy, and there's nothing David Bingham and Nick Raimondo couldn't do that he doesn't do better right now.
Right now, yeah.
Bingham could take the step forward in the future. He's not there yet, and Raimondo always been a solid backup.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, Tim Howard is our starter right now. The way he's played these last two games in MLS are obvious that he's back.
Yeah, it's great to see after that. Obviously, it was a scary injury that he had to be down for like 5 to 10 minutes on the pitch. Almost like he wouldn't come back at all. But he's there, he's healthy, thank goodness. Other than that, you're going to be relying on a guy who doesn't play or two kind of backup guys right now, which you never want that.
No. So for me, for my backs, I'm going Tim Ream over at right back. A very questionable situation there. Cameron Brooks in the middle, and then Johnson on the left.
Yeah, right back is obviously going to be the huge question mark for us. Throwing Tim Ream over there might not be the best idea, but I wouldn't mind trying it over Michael Orozco. I've got Fabian Johnson there. He played there in the last World Cup qualifying cycle. I know what he can do. He's going to be our best option at right back, and I think we've got better options around the field that could fill in those spots. So that's kind of, I picked the rest of the team and then kind of filled Johnson in there. That's the only thing that made sense to me when I was looking at this whole lineup. It's a question mark.
Yeah. And who are you starting over there at left back?
At left back, I've got Villafania. He played pretty well there in January camp. I didn't see anything that would excite me too much, but he didn't make any mistakes. He had a pretty good pairing with Leggett over there on the right side, on the left side rather. I'd like to see more of that pairing moving forward. So could be something good there moving forward. You've got Johnson there. I would play Johnson over Villafania there, but I've got him over there at right back. Obviously, we've talked a lot about center back already. We've got that pairing of Cameron and Brooks. Hopefully they don't get tested too much, but if they do, total trust in them.
Yeah. With Villafana over there, I can definitely understand moving Johnson over to the right back. I think Villafana is probably, of our outside backs, maybe the second best to Johnson.
Yeah.
So to get the two best guys in the field, I can definitely understand moving Johnson over and leaving Villafana where he's comfortable.
Yeah, that was my thought there. We're kind of begging Arena right now, do not break up Cameron and Brooks. I don't know. If he does, I'll start the Fire Klinsman train. We can start that hashtag or whatever. You can't do that, can you?
I would hope not.
Yeah. I guess we'll have to wait and see. 8 days.
8 days.
So, moving into our center midfielder, I kind of have a different lineup than you. I went with a 4-1-3-2. You've gone with a 4-2-3-1. So the only difference there, you have 2 center Ds, and I have 2 forwards. I just think we're going to need a little bit more attacking power. That was always our weakest point in these games, is that we can't get in the goal. So we got to do what we can.
Mm-hmm.
I've got Michael Bradley as my lone center defensive mid, distributing the ball, helping on defense, doing what he does best.
Yeah. So in that same position, I have Bradley, and then alongside him, I put Acosta. I really want to see Acosta. I think he's coming into his own, and it's showing on the field and in his confidence. In some of the interviews you watch, he is just uber confident, and I'd love to see him out there. I mean, he can add something in the attack and in defense.
Yeah, you've got to find a way to get this guy in the field, whether it be a sub. I'd have him coming in as a sub, maybe starting the second game if we take 3 in the first.
Yeah.
It's something that he has to get on the field. You don't really see somebody go on a scoring streak like that in the beginning of the season, ever.
Yeah.
So the fact that he's done it, what has he scored 3 or 4 goals now in the first 3 games? It's he's doing something special. We need to see that. We need to get him on the field.
Yeah. If you're not going to put him on the field, there was no point really in calling him up.
Absolutely, yeah. He's not going to be one of those guys that you sit on the bench and bring in the 80th minute. That's not what he's there for.
No.
So, yeah, I would totally support putting him out there as a center or a second center defensive mid, kind of more in the roaming position where he can shoot forward and help in the attack, and potentially even be in a 4-1-3-2 when you need it to be.
Mm-hmm.
On the right side, I've got Darlington Nagby. On the left side, I've got Sebastian Lletget. We've talked about that pairing of Villafania and Lletget. Like to see that to continue in these next 2 games. Nagby on the other side, and I also have Christian Pulisic in the middle. We talked about how Pulisic and Nagby can switch positions depending on what's going on. Those are 2 dynamic players that we have. I wouldn't mind them switching as needed, just in a helping situation or just how they feel, because those guys are both field players. And having Pulisic shoot in from the wing would be great. Having him distribute the ball to Nagby would also be great. So I don't see any downside to that.
No.
How about you?
Yeah, I like seeing both of those guys out there working together. I have Pulisic on the wing and Nagby in the middle, and then like you have Lletget on the other side. Pulisic is going to end up on both wings at some point, and he's going to end up in the middle. I mean, he just has such a feel for the game that he knows where he needs to be. So those 3 guys, I think, we're pretty consistent on, and Nagby and Pulisic kind of just interchanging.
Yeah, and even Lletget. Lletget can shoot inside He's done that a couple times playing for his team. I know a lot of people actually said that he should be playing in the center. So having 3 guys that can play in the center as your wings and center attack, that's a good sort of dynamic to have. They all know what they can do. They all know that they can play in any position. You're never going to really be out of position when that happens.
Yeah.
And you've got a lot of guys moving forward, working together with your forwards and stepping back. Nagby's a great guy to have to step back on defense. He can stab, he can take a guy on physically. He's one of the better defensive guys in the attack in the MLS.
Yeah. I mean, I can definitely see him and Acosta switching back and forth. When one gets up too high, the other can stay deep. Then I can even see Nagby and Costa switching back and forth. Just having so many different moving parts, it'll make it difficult on a defense to track their man even. And that's another piece of volatility to it.
Yeah, and not only that, but when you have guys that can move around, you're going to create a dynamic between them. You're going to bind your team because as you're switching positions, you got to have a connection with your other guy, knowing who they are marking and other things like that. So creating that bond, especially among young players. We have a lot of young players out there. Sebastian Leget's 26. Nagby's still very young. Pulisic's 18 now, and Acosta's very young as well. That could be a core for a long time, and I wouldn't mind seeing them mesh together. Actually, I'd love to see them mesh together. That's exactly what you want.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
And then when you throw in our forwards, it's a very young team, but a team that has a lot of experience as well.
Yeah. I mean, even our forwards are young. I mean, who do you have up there?
I've got Bobby Wood as my second forward and Josie Altador as my holding forward. I mean, those two guys have a very good pairing. They have a very good understanding of what the other's going to do. There's not much more to say than that. They score goals up there.
Yeah, they seem to understand what each other is thinking. When Wood goes up, Josie kind of just fits in behind him, and then the other way around. I mean, they're both big, strong guys who can hold up the ball, turn, and shoot, which is what we need.
Yeah, I'd love to see both of those guys kind of back their opponent down and either swing it into the other guy or just turn and whip it. Yeah. They're both very good at both of those things, and they're both really strong guys. It's kind of incredible when Josie's got two guys hanging off of his back and he's still shooting the ball. You don't really see that very often. We're very lucky to have him still be a young player. It feels like he's been around for 30 years now, but I think he's 28 now, maybe even a little younger than that. It's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, some of the goals these guys score are just, they're up there on an island, someone kicks it to them, and they just beast mode the center back and score. I mean, it's impressive the strength that these two guys have.
Yeah, and then you couple that with Pulisic coming in off the wing. I mean, there's a lot of things that can happen there.
Yeah. I have Bobby Wood up top. It was really a toss-up between him and Altidore. It's a 1A, 1B situation with those two. I would love to get them both on, but I think we just need a little more in the midfield. So I elected for Costa instead. But either one of those guys as number one is awesome. The other guy that we have there is Morris, who he's not as established as these guys, but he's coming on strong.
Yeah, absolutely. You see, as he learns and adapts, he's only getting better, which is kind of incredible to say. He's only been in the MLS for a year plus now. Mm-hmm. He's only played for the men's national team for 2 years now. The fact that he's still growing at the rate that he is very important for us.
Yeah.
So that's our 24-man roster and our starting lineups. Make sure you comment your opinion down below. Let us know what you think. Tweet at us, Buswell_USA. That's all.
See you on the 24th.
Bye.